Phase 4. Silence. When God trusts you enough not to explain everything. Silence is not where the prophet loses God. Silence is where the prophet loses the need to control how God communicates. Because in the beginning, God may speak often so you can learn his voice. But later, he gets quiet to see if you have learned his nature. There is a difference between knowing God's voice and knowing God's heart. A young prophet says, "God, speak so I know you are with me." A mature prophet says, "Even if you do not speak right now, I still know you are with me." That is where silence becomes consecration, because silence strips the prophet of spiritual dependency on constant signs. No goosebumps, no confirmation, no dream, no prophetic word, no open vision, no emotional shaking. Just obedience with no audience. And this is hard because silence makes the prophet confront the part of them that was using sound for security. Some people do not really want God to lead them. They want God to keep reassuring them so they never have to grow. But God will eventually stop repeating what he already said because repetition can become a crutch. This is where silence becomes a mirror. It shows you what still panics when God does not explain. God lets the room get quiet until every false dependency starts making noise. Then he teaches you, that noise is not me. That fear is not me. That urgency is not me. That pressure is not me. That need to prove yourself is not me. Because sometimes God's silence is the only way to reveal how loud your flesh has become. Because silence matures timing. And timing is one of the greatest tests of a prophet. A prophet can hear accurately and still damage people by speaking prematurely. A prophet can see correctly and still mishandle revelation by releasing it without permission. A prophet can discern truth and still operate in disorder if they move before God says move. So God trains the prophet in silence. He teaches them that revelation is not ownership, it is stewardship. Just because God showed it to you does not mean he gave you permission to say it. Just because you discerned it does not mean you are assigned to confront it. Just because you feel it does not mean it is time to release it. Some things God reveals to prophets are not announcements. They are assignments for intercession. And silence teaches the prophet the discipline to pray over what their flesh wants to expose. That is maturity. Because immature prophets expose everything they discern. Mature prophets ask God what to do with what they discern. There is a holy difference. Silence is also where God heals the prophet's relationship with hiddenness. Because many prophets fear being forgotten. They fear being overlooked. They fear that if they are quiet, someone else will take their place. But a real assignment cannot be stolen by someone else's visibility. What God ordained for you does not expire because you are hidden. Hidden does not mean replaced. Hidden means preserved. God hides what he is still strengthening. He hides roots. He hides seeds. He hides babies in the womb. He hides oil before the public pouring. And in this phase, God is hiding the prophet from premature exposure. Because exposure before maturity can make a prophet famous and fractured at the same time. So God gets quiet. He removes the rush. He removes the noise. He removes the constant need to be pulled on. And he brings the prophet back to this one question: am I enough when nobody sees you? That question will purify a calling. Because if God is not enough in hiddenness, ministry will become a substitute for intimacy, and that is dangerous. You can be active in ministry and distant from God. You can be gifted and still avoid surrender. You can be accurate and still unhealed. You can be used publicly and still be restless privately. Silence exposes that. It brings the prophet back to the altar without performance. No title, no microphone, no audience, no applause. Just the vessel and God. And this is where God does deep surgery. He removes the need to sound deep. He removes the need to always have an answer. He removes the pressure to prove your oil. He removes the anxiety of being misunderstood. He removes the fear of not being needed. And he teaches you that your value is not in being used. Your value is in being his. That is when the prophet becomes safer. Safer to hear. Safer to speak. Safer to correct. Safer to carry people. Because silence has humbled them. Now they do not rush to say, God told me. They tremble before they speak. They weigh words. They check motive. They wait for release. They know the damage of careless speech. They understand that a prophetic word can either heal a wound or create one. So silence gives the prophet reverence, and reverence is what keeps the gift clean. Without reverence, prophets become performers. With reverence, prophets become vessels. Phase 4 is not God withholding himself. It is God deepening your capacity to trust him without needing constant evidence. Because the highest level of trust is not when God explains the path. It is when God becomes the path. And when a prophet can walk with God in silence without accusing him, without rushing him, without replacing him with noise, that prophet has entered a deeper maturity. That is prophetic maturity.